If we have chosen the position in life in which we can most of all work for mankind, no burdens can bow us down because they are sacrifices for the benefit of all. Then we shall experience no petty, limited, selfish joy, but our happiness will belong to millions. Our deeds will live on quietly, but perpetually at work, and over our ashes will be shed the hot tears of noble people. I have been obsessed with Studio Rassvet's I Have No Change. This game is a lot of things: cozy, melancholic, beautiful, but also kinda scary. It shows a particular kind of fear that a lot of young adults are experiencing nowadays at an alarming rate. It's the fear that this might be it. The same shift every day, the same route home, the same objects in your home, the same tiny little rituals that stop feeling temporary and start feeling permanent. Sometimes your head is spinning with thoughts, anxieties, worries, fears. Everything sucks. Life feels meaningless. You can't buy anything new. You can't leave your old family's apartment. You don't really have any friends. Maybe you're spending too much time on your phone. And what if your favorite snack isn't on sale next time you go buy groceries? You can't even enjoy your good foods anymore. I could start a new project maybe, but how? I don't have anything. This neighborhood just keeps getting worse by the day. People are not even shoveling the snow out of the streets anymore. What is the point of this job? What future is this giving you? Did you really just give up on building your future and simply settled for maintaining the present? And sometimes nothing is really going on at all. Things are actually kind of comfortable, cozy even. This video is about stillness, about living a life that isn't falling apart, but also isn't really going anywhere. And honestly, to a lot of people, this is more terrifying than any tragedy. Tragedy at least changes things. With stagnation, nothing really changes at all. In I Have No Change, you play as Matvey Zorenko Zargevich, a 27-year-old kiosk worker, spending New Year's Eve serving and talking to customers in a freezing town where everybody seems tired.
Пачку унисона, Дентос и водичку еще 0,5.
The kind of tired that really settles in your posture and your speech, and the way you stop expecting anything from life beyond stability. This game shows a very clear understanding of the current working class reality. People are not chasing dreams anymore. No one is aspiring to be anything. Everyone just wants the same thing: stability. Can I pay rent this month? How much can I spend on groceries? Can I survive another month without some horrible, unforeseeable emergency that will destroy everything that I have? This is the horizon. Not happiness, not personal fulfillment, just being able to survive without a catastrophe. And weirdly enough, this feels comforting after a while. That's the emotional contradiction at the center of all of this. You're trapped and you became attached to your trap. It's very similar to loneliness and isolation in this regard. Happiness is not behind mountains, it's on the mountains. There's this moment that happens to a lot of working class adults where routine stops feeling like a temporary thing. When you're younger, you assume your current life is just a phase. This crappy apartment, it's temporary. This dead end job, it's just a phase, bro. The exhaustion, it will be worth it in the end. Trust in the process. You wake up at the same time every day. You buy the same food. You say the same things to the same people. Your world became so much smaller. There are practically no details anymore. Humans can adapt to almost anything, almost any environment, really. And so that's exactly what you do. You adapt. The kiosk in I Have No Change feels important because it represents this emotional condition. It's tiny, restrictive, cold, but also safe, predictable. Your character knows the customers, knows the conversation, knows the kiosk layout. He knows his way around his job by now. And there is comfort in that predictability, especially when life outside the routine feels economically unstable. People who have never lived close to financial insecurity most of the times don't really understand this. When your life has genuinely felt fragile, stability becomes everything that you want. You don't fantasize about becoming rich. You simply fantasize about nothing going wrong. You're in survival mode, and ambition feels dangerous. And that's because it really is dangerous. It really is a huge risk, a huge gamble with your life. That's the emotional landscape this game wants to convey. It's not exactly hopelessness, it's the comfort that stagnation gives you. Don't try to escape your mental Krasnopol. The title of the game itself is genius. I have no change. Obviously refers to money. You work in a kiosk, you have to give people change, and sometimes you don't have it. This isn't the case of the game though. It's not a mechanic that you have to actively worry about. You will always have change for the customers. So, what is it about? It's about the changes in your life. You have no change emotionally, no change financially, no change socially. You don't change. Nothing changes. You have no change. And I think a lot of people could immediately connect to this aspect of the game. Modern adulthood just feels like constant maintenance, especially for younger workers, but everyone feels it nowadays. You're not really progressing in life, you're simply preventing a full on collapse that could happen at any minute. And one thing that the game captures incredibly well is the way time feels different when you're poor or overworked. Stories often frame time as something expensive, a resource for self discovery, for travel, growth, reinvention. Working class time is different. It is fragmented. Your structure, your existence is around shifts, around bills, around transportation, around exhaustion. The worker must sell himself daily and hourly. Your free time doesn't really feel free because you're spending it recovering from the day before and getting ready for the next day where it will all happen all over again. And eventually, years disappear. But you're not wasting time. You're surviving time. And I think that's why the game feels so melancholic. Not because the characters are dramatic and emotional with you, it's because they're just realistic. Nobody in the game talks like they're the protagonist of a grand narrative. They just sound like people who got work tomorrow and really gotta get this interaction over with because the faster this goes, the faster they can go home, rest, and prepare for the next day. There's something deeply sad about that, but it's also a deeply beautiful thing that ordinary people are able to carry this unbelievable emotional weight silently every single day. Cashiers, night clerks, convenience store workers, these people absorb fragments of humanity all day long, and then they go home and continue existing like none of it affected them. But how could it not affect them? Matvey feels less like a person and more like someone people edit out of the frame. The kind of person you interact with for 30 seconds of your life and then you immediately forget. But he still has an inner life. He still has regrets, has memories, still has old family heirlooms that he keeps in his apartment. And he still wonders if things could have been different. Every ordinary person has an emotional universe inside them, even if no one notices or cares. Back when my brother and I were both still in school, Mom went on a few shopping trips to China. She brought us these clothes and all sorts of different stuff. She brought us some souvenirs too. There are also a dragon robe and a hat lying around somewhere. There's something painful about working class families. Oftentimes, these families support each other emotionally and financially because they have to, and there is genuinely a certain warmth to this kind of closeness. It's a kind of relationship that is hard to put into words just how intimate it can be. The problem is that there is also a kind of gravity to it. There's a very real and noticeable weight in the relationship when one of you is responsible for the other's survival. In a way, the sentimental veil is torn away from the family, and that reduces the family relation to a mere money relation. And that responsibility changes the way that you look at your own freedom. A lot of people online tend to romanticize the idea of escaping your reality. Leave your job, move out, leave your country, cut everyone off, start over, completely reinvent yourself as a person, invest in crypto or something like that. We all know that reality is more complicated than that. Things are never this simple. A lot of people stay where they are because leaving would mean abandoning people they love, people that took care of them, that raised them, that sacrificed things purely for them. They stay because the job market is unpredictable and flawed. What if you leave and you just don't get a new job anywhere? What if you do all the steps and then fail at this extremely crucial one? Then, congratulations. Now you're a homeless person in Europe or the US or in Asia somewhere. But there is also the emotional side to this, of course. When your family has struggled financially for generations, risk doesn't look exciting, it looks selfish. Stagnation is not always laziness. In fact, I would say that in most cases it is not about laziness. Most of the times, it's about sacrifice. People give up larger dreams and aspirations because stability for the people around them matters more. This is not being a failure. This doesn't mean that these people are weak. They are some of the strongest people you will ever meet in your life. And that is simply being an adult. Pay your debt. Dad, you promised to not drink. The New Year's setting works really well when you start looking at things from these lenses. It's basically a holiday all about change, about transformation or evolution. New year, new habits, new life. You know how it goes. Everyone spends one night pretending that changing is incredibly easy, that their minds are 100% focused and sharpened for this transformation slash evolution. And then January arrives. Work comes back, and everybody just goes back to their usual routines and rituals. That's what makes our protagonist different. He's not even going to go through this performative process at this point. And this is the part of the game that I can't stop thinking about. Matvey's life is not really the worst possible life. He has a job, he has a routine, he is surviving. And sadly, that's kind of the final goal for a lot of people. Modern life truly exhausts people. There's this cultural narrative that everyone should be constantly optimizing themselves and outperforming everybody around them. More money, more productivity, more time, more ambition, more success, more of those goddamn numbers going up. And there must be something rotten in the very core of a social system which increases its wealth without diminishing its misery. Most people just want peace, not luxury, not an overwhelming amount of money, success, and a dream life where you can basically do whatever you want. Sure, there are people who want this kind of thing.
My fucking warriors who will not hang up the phone until their client either buys or fucking dies!
Some people genuinely live for this kind of thrill, for this kind of exhaustion and mindset. But again, most people just want a refrigerator with their favorite foods in it, a cozy room, a quiet evening, a good computer to play their favorite games, a good TV to watch their favorite movies and shows. No emergencies, no rush, no disasters are waiting to happen, no phones constantly ringing and customers complaining and a manager demanding more and more and more out of you, and alpha males screaming at you to be the best, and that if you are still working with your 9 to 5 you're literally a failure and you should get yourself involved in crypto and AI and enough. I'm going to live forever. And so far, it's working out. There's something deeply tragic about realizing how low the bar for happiness becomes after prolonged instability. There's this constant feeling that everyone peaked emotionally years ago, and now they're just trying to continue existing. That somehow every single person nowadays is just trying to prove to the world that they deserve to be alive. But Despite everything, there's still warmth in the world. People joke around, people remember each other, people keep showing up. Life continues. The workers endure. It's such a beautiful thing to think about. I think this continuation, this resilience that most of the population demonstrates, is one of the most underrated forms of courage in the world. There are millions, no, billions of people holding their lives together quietly right now. Workers keeping themselves emotionally functional through sheer routine, force of will, and faith that things will get better. They are not celebrated, they are not seen as warriors, but we notice them, we see them. They are not statistics, they are not mere tools to be used and disposed of by their employers or their customers. And they are also not political arguments. These people are human beings, and it is not a political statement to say that hardworking, honest people should be living better lives, that they should be actually enjoying their lives with their families, their friends, their partners, pets, for fuck's sake, by themselves, because they are human beings and they deserve to be treated as such, not like objects and tools. This game stuck with me because it didn't really feel like fiction. It feels like something I had lived through but never processed completely. It felt like I was being remembered by someone. The freezing, exhausted walk home after work, the glowing windows at night, each one with their own story, their own world. The feeling of sitting alone in your apartment, preparing yourself mentally for your shift while scrolling social media on your phone. I think the real emotional core of the game is the fear that your current part time life might become permanent, that you will never be able to escape this cycle, that things will never truly get better than this, and in some twisted way, you should be grateful. Just this permanent maintenance. And this realization hits especially hard in your late 20s. That's usually the age where people mostly stop imagining a wide range of futures for themselves and start truly understanding the economic reality of their situation. The terrifying thing is that most of times people didn't necessarily do anything wrong. It kind of happened. It's just a system. Economics, exhaustion, time. Stagnation doesn't feel painful every day. It feels completely normal. It feels right, even like you're just doing the right thing, living correctly, being a productive member of society, doing your part for your nation, your community. You get it. And that's how you get trapped. That's how years just completely disappear, vanish. Some days will go by and you won't even remember a single thing that happened in that day. I bet this exact experience has occurred to most people watching this video right now. I have no change, understands the struggle, and sometimes People stop chasing dreams, grandiose political ambitions, education, even, because survival has consumed all their energy. When that happens, your priorities shift, your definition of happiness and fulfillment changes. You stop wanting everything, you settle for enough, you settle for stability. Enough money, enough warmth, enough peace, enough energy to wake up tomorrow and just keep going. There's something devastating and deeply sad about this realization. I have no change looks directly at that exhaustion without trying to turn it into some inspirational or motivational nonsense. It just says, yeah, life can feel like this sometimes: cold, repetitive, small. You're still human though. Maybe you should start thinking more about things when you're ready, of course, and in a less distressed, panicked, and hopeless way. Things are calm. You're safe. Maybe take some time to really reflect. Then you get back to me and tell me what is it that you concluded.
Так, ну сейчас уже вряд ли кто-то придет. Можно и поспать.
Continuation itself is an act of resistance against hopelessness. Everyone is tired, and yet they persist. They still talk, they still laugh, still celebrate holidays, still make tea, still go to work, still care about each other in small ways. And that is beautiful. That is incredibly important and powerful. But realize that you do deserve more than this. And when you feel ready, remember that you still have the power to fight for a better life. You do have change.